All right, Josh, it's been a long time, man. I think it's been 3 years since we did the 2021 NFL draft show in your garage in Eastlake.
Yep.
First of all, great to see you, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I know it's been a while. Life gets in the way. I think you're in a hotel room. How you been?
I'm good, man. I've been waiting for this text for 3 years, actually, so I'm glad you brought that up. I'm in Indianapolis right now for work, but I had to carve out some time to get this done because I love talking the NFL draft. I do a Chargers show, the Bolt City podcast, and the NFL draft is the day where every team has a chance to win on the same day. So it's very unique. I look forward to the NFL draft every year, and with the Chargers being in the top five, it makes it a little bit more interesting.
Dude, it's so fun. March Madness, the Masters, like the draft. Like it's funny because there's so many other sports going on, and then you kind of forget about the NFL. After the Super Bowl, there's just so much that goes into it. And then you blink and you're like, holy fuck. Like the NFL drafts here. Like, dude, I don't know about you, but I watched the first pick to the last pick, and then like Van Pelt will come on after whoever, I have to like take it all in. I'm assuming it's the same with you. So that's why I had you on. And you make a good point because we grew up in San Diego. Um, I gotta ask because I have this conversation with my buddies all the time. Is the San Diego sports curse real? Because you can't have food, weather, and the beach, you and sports. You can only get three. I'm assuming it's real because we've been dragged through the mud. Because for us growing up, it was the San Diego Chargers, and I just I refuse to say the other city with the Chargers in the same sentence. Is it real? The curse? It has to be.
It's 100% real. And there's actually a backstory to how the curse got started. In my opinion, I'm going to go down this road because I love talking about this. A long time ago in the early 19, I don't know if you know the story, in the 1900s, there's a drought and there's a rainmaker who said, I can make it rain for San Diego. And the city of San Diego said, we need the rain so bad, make it rain and we'll pay you for it. Well, it rained so much that the city flood and everybody, got in trouble because they either lost their house or, they couldn't keep up with this flood. And the city of San Diego never paid this guy, the rainmaker. And then he said, your city will be cursed from now on forward. And we haven't won a championship ever. So I believe that story. I think that guy, until we find the rainmaker's family and pay him, city of San Diego is never going to win.
You get the beautiful ocean, you have the best food, and I will argue that with anyone on the planet, with just a huge cultural mix of everything. And
Yep.
and the weather, it's except for the amount of rain it's had actually in the last couple of years, but it's usually great. No, man, it's tough because growing up, it's always our teams that lose, to the eventual Super Bowl champions, World Series champions, Heisman Trophy winners, national basketball champions, whatever. The list goes on and on. But no, man, again, I appreciate it. As I mentioned, we met each other in San Diego. You're born and raised. You're in Nashville now. You're a homeowner. You're about to be married. Life's going really well. How is the Nashville nightlife, day life? I don't know how you classify it. I want to come visit you, hopefully by the end of summer. I gotta say, is it gonna exceed like Las Vegas as the ultimate destination spot for a bachelor party soon?
Oh, I think definitely it's on that track. Morgan Wallen's bar opens up this summer. Luke Combs' bar opens up after that. Garth Brooks' bar just opened. Eric Church's bar just opened. It's just getting bigger, bigger, and bigger. Bottle Blonde is now opening on Broadway. I mean, we
Ooh.
need to get you out here, Will. I mean, it's becoming an absolute chaos everywhere, which good chaos because it's good for tourism and all the money it brings into the city. But for me, I'm biased. I'd rather go to Nashville than Vegas.
Yeah, I think the whole Vegas thing after the hangover, it's just like this fictional like adventure everyone tries to, relive. And yeah, I got to check it out. I want to, everyone makes the jokes about the Morgan Wallen bar, after I think he threw like a chair off the roof and then like paying $46 for like a vodka soda. I think that's just a part of the trip. But no, I'm excited, man. But let's get back into this. So the NFL draft, it's coming up. I think it's safe to say, I think it's safe to say that Caleb Williams is going to go number one. And
Mhm.
it's really a mix of Jaden Daniels, Drake May going to the Commanders. The Patriots are a weird wild card curveball in all of this because similar to the Chargers, just have numerous holes, but let's just operate under the assumption that they're probably going to take a quarterback. So with the Cardinals going at 4 and the Chargers at 5, Monty Austin is the new GM for the Cardinals, and a huge, huge upgrade from Steve Keim, who before, you know, really had a demonstrated track record that he couldn't draft well or develop talent. And Austin Fort, after last year, which I want to bring this up because the Chargers could potentially do this with Joe Hortiz. Ultimately traded twice within the top 12 to land Paris Johnson and get more draft capital. Okay. So it could be a case where the Cardinals just stay put and get Marvin Harrison Jr. But this is where I kind of want your thoughts. And again, you've done a great job on the Bolt City podcast with the Chargers at 5. If I could ask you, if you're Joe Hortiz, what are you doing? Are you going to stay put and just draft either, potentially an offensive tackle who's like the size of the mountain from Game of Thrones? Do you take Marvin Harrison Jr.? Do you take Malik Neighbors? Do you trade? What are you doing there?
Yeah, so Chargers are similar to the Cardinals. There's a ton of holes on this team. You can't just draft one player and say, you know what, we're going to be a playoff team now. It doesn't work that way. Chargers are in a unique situation also where they have a franchise quarterback in the top 5. You don't see that very often. So the way I would see it, Will, would be the Caleb Williams is going to go number 1. A quarterback will go number 2 as well. I believe the Patriots are going to take a quarterback. And then the wild card will be if the Vikings are going to pull off that trade with the Cardinals to move up to the 4th spot. If the Cardinals end up, trading that pick and the Vikings trade up for JJ McCarthy, whoever it is, then the Chargers should stay there and draft the best player available in the entire draft, which I believe is Marvin Harrison Jr. If Marvin Harrison Jr. is off the board, I would not stay at 5. I would trade down for multiple first-round picks with the Vikings if that's on the table, and I would not draft Joe Alt. The reason why I would not draft Joe Alt is because Joe Alt is a left tackle, and I know you've heard me say this. Joe Alt is a left tackle. You don't tell somebody on draft day, we're going to put you somewhere you've never played before. During his pro day, they said he didn't even look like the same type of player at all, which is understandable. I mean, take a piss with your left hand or brush your teeth with your left hand, do anything with your left hand. It's going to feel uncomfortable. Now go to the other side and block Max Crosby. Oh, you can't do it because you've never done it before? Good luck. So if I'm the Chargers, I would trade down for multiple first round picks and get as much capital as you can because this team has a huge hole at corner, right? They have one guy in Asante Samuel Jr., who's really a number 2. He's not really a shutdown corner. You have no middle linebacker. If you can name any middle linebacker on the Chargers that's made a significant impact since Junior Seau, I'd be impressed because I can't think of anybody. A defensive line is not good in the interior. You have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, but nobody in the middle. Running back, I mean, we have a guy in Gus Edwards who's really a backup and J.K. Dobbins who can't stay healthy. You might need to get a running back in the later rounds. My point being, Will, is there's so many holes on this team. You can't just say we're going to draft left tackle and put him at right tackle and it's going to fix all of our problems. There's so many holes on this team. Oh, yeah, and there's also no receivers to throw to. Josh Palmer's our number 1, and he's really a number 3.
Yeah, good old Jalen Guyton. And the list of expletives that I sent you every game over Quentin Johnson, that's a huge miss. No, you nailed it. And that's the whole point about Joe Alt. I do agree. I do. 3 seasons ago, Rashawn Slater was an all pro as a rookie. He's dealt with injuries the last couple seasons and some inconsistent line play. Corey Linsley, I don't know when he's going to retire. It feels like he's been trying to retire for like 3 years now. But, eventually they're going to have to fill that spot. Yeah, with Alt, that's a good point. Taking a shortstop who's played his entire life and then telling, hey, go play second base. It's completely backwards. Like like your brain, everything, your footwork, technique, everything. The only thing that I'm concerned about, I guess I should have asked this first because, everyone knows this now, but Jim Harbaugh, right? Like I was pretty amped up. I'm sure you were too, just getting a solidified bona fide head coach who can change the culture. And then you get Joe Ortiz from an organization that has again showed since it's came into the league, with the Baltimore Ravens, that they hit on most of their picks. And what's even better is that they develop the later round picks into eventual starters, pro bowlers, all pros, whatever. The only thing that I'm concerned about, because I'm with you, I want the best player available at number 5, right? You mentioned Junior Seau, LaDainian Tomlinson. You need a franchise altering player at that position, right? It's a top 5 for a reason. And I just think with the history and what Harbaugh's about, I mean, this is going to be a lineman heavy draft. Because if it's me, I want Harrison Jr., right? But I feel like he's probably going to go 4, and if he doesn't, and we trade out, there's no way Marvin Harrison Jr. gets past, the 5th or 6th pick. Malik Neighbor is the same thing. His best quality is speed. They need, that with the Chargers and really utilize and take advantage of Herbert's arm. Man, I'm not going to be surprised if we take a lineman. Like, I don't want to, that's why it's fun, right? Like, on the day of the draft, you're so tuned in, you're actively on Twitter, and in real time, you're seeing just deals being made. And, I really wish that we could see behind the scenes of how, being in the war room, like getting those calls, like what it's going to be. But I don't know. I mean, do you see Jim Harbaugh like that? Doesn't that just make too much sense? Like he wants to build from within, which I understand, right? Because if you're trying to compete against Mahomes for the next 10 years, you got to protect Herbert
Hmm.
and you got to because that's last season, that was abysmal. And now he's starting to develop this, reputation, almost like a Matt Stafford, like, oh yeah, he has all this uber amount of talent, but he can't stay healthy. And he hasn't really proven that he can do this, especially in the playoffs too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Justin Herbert has a losing record for a reason. The team has not been good around him, and Justin Herbert, frankly, was not clutch when they needed him last year. So all the Herbert stands out there that want to defend him and say he's a top quarterback, which I do believe he is a top quarterback, he needs to come through as well. Well, you can't have him do everything if there's no protection. I mean, who are the two best players on defense in the division, right? It's Max Crosby and it's Chris Jones. There's nobody on the Chargers offensive line that can stop them besides Rashawn Slater. So
Mhm.
you got to fix the offensive line somewhere in this draft. I would be okay if you traded down and you took Fuaga from Oregon
Mhm.
State because he is a right tackle. And then if you had like the 23rd pick because you made the trade with the Vikings, you could take Brian Johnson Jr., right? Malik Neighbors' teammate. You can get two very good players in the first round. I'm just not okay with him taking a left tackle because that's not his natural position. What do you think? I mean, when you look at this draft, and you said it's lineman heavy, would you wait to take an offensive lineman because there's so many in this draft, or would you go for the playmaker, even if it's not Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors?
My That's a great question because, I want an explosive playmaker, right? Like if I'm because you have the basis, I hate to say this, we're playing against fucking Mahomes twice a year for the next decade plus. So you got it on either side of the ball. You need to draft a player that can ultimately flip a game, that can cause one of the five plays in the game that makes, the outcome and result. So when I think about that, long term, you gotta go lineman, right? Because you gotta protect Herbert. It's not the sexiest pick. It's not the funnest. Social media, even though they're hilarious, can't make the funny videos about it. But on the flip side, man, you need a playmaker. Like I just you need the best guy there. But then what you also touched on too, and I can't hammer on this home enough, and this is after just a really crazy offseason of just departures and trades and just I mean, we're ultimately rebuilding. Like I hate to say it, like the Chargers are this is a fucking rebuild. Like Justin
100%.
Herbert masks everything. Jim Harbaugh having hilarious videos of him getting the tattoo and living in the RV park, which by the way should be in Coronado in San Diego and not in fucking Huntington Beach or wherever, but that's besides the point. Um, we there's a lot of holes at every level on both sides of the ball. And there's a part
Yep.
of me that thinks if you can acquire draft capital and you saw, and I mentioned this earlier with Monty Austin for it, where you can kind of finesse and wheel and deal and get some capital for the future, but still trade back. I'm okay with that. I mean, at the end of the day, you just want to fill we need bodies. It's really we have running back, receiver, inside linebacker, interior lineman, safety. Who's Derwin's back? You know what I'm saying? Like there's
Mhm.
so running back, it's there's a lot. Gun to the head, I got to make a decision. I want Marvin Harrison, obviously. Like the son of a Hall of Famer. Everyone's giving him flack, by the way, because he's not fucking running 40 times. And I guess I'm just biting off the same sandwich that the media is. How, oh, he's training with other, pro wide receivers, which is smart because when he gets to, OTAs and training camp, he'll be ready to go. I just, I want to take the playmaker, but if it ultimately boils down to us getting a protection for our franchise QB, which I still believe in Herbert, I still do, and I'm really glad.
Mhm.
And I've eaten a huge amount of crow because I wanted Tua during that first draft, and I've gone on
Yep.
social media and made my rounds of I was wrong. I'm glad we have Herbert. So with that, I guess we talked about the curse earlier, so we'll kind of wrap up on the Chargers here. Will San Diegans ever not get vomitously ill over the Marlon McCree fumble? Because that seems to like surface on my timeline every once in a while, and it that just goes back to the curse, and it fucking sucks so bad, and I still think about it every day.
I think about that play once a week at
I
least,
think I
and
do too.
I'll never get over it. Yeah, I
No,
mean, I've only cried a couple times because of a sports event, and that was
true.
one of them, and I'll never get over it.
Hmm.
He's dead to me forever. I don't know where he lives or what he does, but he's dead to me forever. No, I'll never get over it. I know you won't either. Anybody that's a real Charger fan, San Diego Charger fan, will never get over that because that was the best team in the NFL. That was the best Chargers team to not make a Super Bowl. I mean, 14-2 and you can't make it to the Super Bowl, that's almost as bad as when the Chargers were number one in offense and number one in defense in 2010 and still didn't make the playoffs.
I didn't make the
That's the
playoffs.
kind of,
Oh my God, I
curse
didn't
we're
make the
dealing with here.
playoffs. God, and then we fired Marty Schottenheimer, and then Troy Brown strips him. And you just, we owned the Colts to that point. So Indianapolis has to come to San Diego for the AFC title game. You play this overachieving team in Rex Grossman and Devin Hester and Muhsin Muhammad on the Bears, a rainy day in Miami. Tony Dungy never gets his Super Bowl. Peyton Manning doesn't get his Super Bowl until who knows when after that.
Mm-hmm.
You get I've had this conversation too many times. I just have to bring it up with you. I just, what? We were having a good day. We're not, this is the problem with San Diego. Like they will never get over that. And it's clearly evident. Fuck Marlon McCree. God damn it. Okay. Let's shift gears back to the QB conundrum. This is, I got to say, Josh, you play quarterback at, in high school and at the collegiate level. I think it's the funnest position to talk about, obviously, in sports. And it's the drafts are always, I would say, a lot more entertaining when there's like quarterbacks, to talk about QB heavy drafts. And this obviously is the case. I mean, we did a pre-draft little preview right now with the fact that you had a bunch of QBs that are going to dominate the first three picks. So this is being recorded on Tuesday or Monday night before the draft. So Zach Wilson gets traded, and we opened the show with how we did, 3 years ago in your garage, the 2021 draft. I mean, isn't that nuts? Like, other than Trevor Lawrence, that is absolutely insane. Is that just the future of what the QB play is going to be in the NFL? That's wild to me.
I think it's extremely wild. I mean, I don't see the quarterbacks as strong in this draft as most people do. I think Caleb Williams is the clear-cut number one. I like Jaden Daniels, but then I have so many question marks after this. My question would be to the people that do these mock drafts, where would you rank these quarterbacks if you were to say best player available? Where would Caleb Williams be? Would he be number one? He might be. Where would Drake May be? Where would Jaden Daniels be? Because if you're saying best player available, regardless of position, how quarterbacks are you really going to have in your top 10? And that could be a question to you. How do you feel about that?
I would say I would give two. This is hard. Out of the
Who's your
QBs,
two?
I would give two first round grade. Caleb Williams, and aside from all the jokes about the nil money and the crying and the nails, like strictly on field play, he's up there. I mean, I saw that when his first game against Oklahoma, against Texas. I mean, it was insane. I would say Jaden Daniels too. And I don't know if this is just like the Joe Burrow LSU effect and being able to transfer schools. And the only difference is that he didn't deliver a national championship. I just, you get the comparisons to Lamar just because, they're tall, athletic, and can throw the ball. I think Daniels is a better thrower, if that makes sense. Like, for a pure pocket passer, he just needs some development. He's a little skinny too. I don't know what game with Drake May. The UNC curse is real. Michael Penix and Bo Nix can rent cars. Like, they're like 25 years old. They're like, has the Stetson Bennett approach. JJ McCarthy, I always look forward to this every year because it's never a quarterback anyone can predict. Like, and it was last year, a couple years ago with Will Levis. I don't know how JJ McCarthy, and this is coming from a Harbaugh offense, the fact that he could potentially be a fifth overall pick, or not fifth, or fourth or whatever, compared to what, 3 months ago when he could have been maybe a second or third. I don't know. Those two long answer, I would say Williams and Daniels, right? Or no, do you disagree?
No, I agree with that 100%. I think Williams, Daniels, and then I'd go May probably third. The thing with JJ McCarthy that I don't understand is what is the difference between him and AJ McCarron? Because AJ McCarron at Alabama was a winner like JJ McCarthy that was a game manager that nobody wanted to touch in the NFL. And they were right. AJ McCarron's not an NFL quarterback. Why is JJ McCarthy all of a sudden this franchise quarterback that wasn't trusted to throw the ball 20 times a game at Michigan? Jim Harbaugh is doing sales. He is scheming you guys. You guys are all drinking the Kool-Aid. He's telling you should take JJ McCarthy. You know why? Because Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to fall into my lap if you do that. So why would you not listen? Or if you're Jim Harbaugh, why would you not say that? It can only benefit you. You come across as a good guy because you're talking about your former quarterback, and you could end up with the best player in the draft, to Marvin Harrison Jr. I think there's a huge fall off between the third quarterback and Drake May and whoever you're going to put forth, whether it's Michael Penix or Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy, it doesn't matter. Spencer Rattler, give me a break. I just think Jaden Daniels to me is legit. He can throw the ball, like you said, at an elite level. He's a playmaker at an elite level. I thought when he's at Arizona State, if you look back at it, he was probably the best player, best quarterback in Phoenix. I would take him right now over Kyler Murray.
Yeah, no, he a lot of people from Phoenix were I understand it was kind of an ugly exit from ASU. The Agent McCarron, I love it. So the big difference is Brett Musburger, he wasn't slobbering all over McCarthy's girlfriend on, over his significant other like he did with McCarron. So maybe that's the difference. I don't know. But speaking of college football, by the way, we got to talk about this. So Alabama alum, congrats on the Final Four run. I saw them play here. Grant Nelson was a beast to watch.
Yep.
And this, we have to highlight with this. So you were part of the program. I think I should have done my homework better. Was it from 2015 to 2017? Was that your time there?
15 to 16,
15
2 years.
to 16. Okay. So you got, it was fucking awesome. You had the privilege and like the opportunity to be coached by Nick Saban. First of all, firsthand, is it really what he comes off as, ESPN, or is he behind the scenes actually the hilarious guy that I feel like he is, and he just likes to play this persona to the media?
He's playing the persona of the media. If he was a real jerk that people hated, how would he end up getting all these top recruits year after year? And why would players keep going back to Alabama, praising him and the coach and person that he is? Don't you think that wouldn't make any sense? So Nick Saban's a great person that wants to put off this persona of the media because he is all about business. I mean, I remember when I was at Alabama, they asked about the presidential election. He even know who was running. I mean, that's how focused he is in football. That he's football all the time, and it's sad to see him go, but I think NILs are, one of the main reasons why he left.
I gotta say it. So you nailed it there. Were you surprised when he called this? He still looks good. I don't know if there's any, health concerns at all. I just, it's kind of sad. Like, I think we're gonna start seeing, these older coaches, dude, having to put up with parents now with they're like their de facto agents, for money. That has to be one of the sole reasons, right?
Oh, 100%. After the Rose Bowl, he went to go talk to the team about, the loss to Michigan. And he had a handful of guys come up to him and say, what's my bag? When am I going to get paid, coming up this next year? And he's like, what? Like, what are we doing, man? This is like a horrible loss in program history. And you're talking about what you're going to get paid. And I think he's just over it. I think he had some minor health stuff, nothing to put him into retirement. But I heard about this information of him leaving a couple months before it happened. And I didn't believe it. But then when you hear about how much of an impact NIL had on him, and now you hear that coaches came and coach because they're afraid that players are going to leave because of the transfer portal. I mean, what is college football, man? It's like turned into this whole travel ball, high school bull crap.
Yeah, it really sucks. I mean, dude, in 2035, I don't know if we're going to be able to recognize it. I mean, this is football and basketball. I don't know what it's going to be like. Is there going to be unions? Is there going to be like a commissioner, agents? I don't know. Hey man, this has been really fun. I'm really glad that you took some time to do this really fast. So there was a viral tweet a few years ago that you had put out about being on the roster, and this I just want you to tell the story of when you were quoted, and it kind of went national with some of the reporters in Tuscaloosa about you being the guy stepping in. I think Jalen Hurts was there, but there was a few other transfers that had taken away or left the program. What had happened there?
Yeah. So it was right before the national championship game, or excuse me, right before the college football playoff. There's 5 scholarship quarterbacks. I was a walk-on quarterback. The 4 scholarship quarterbacks had announced that they were leaving. So then it was just me and Jalen Hurts in the quarterback room. And I said that if Jalen gets hurt, no pun intended, if Jalen gets hurt, I will step up. I'm ready to go, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Like any
What else am I
athlete
supposed to
should,
say?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it caught fire and, people weren't mad about it, but the Alabama football coaches were like, "Why are you talking to the media? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, what walk on?" And I'm like, "I just said I'm ready to go. I am." And they're like, "Shut up, stop."
You can just
But
say
I
it's Lane.
mean,
You could just tell me it's him. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. But no,
Well,
but that whole thing was a unique situation because you had 4 scholarship quarterbacks that transferred out once. I mean, how often do you see that? That never happens. So that's what happens when you have a true freshman as your starting quarterback. So guys got to leave.
yeah, that's goddamn. I don't even know. College sports is going to be. I'm still going to gamble on it, but it's weird. Like the whole dynamic within. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. But hey, Josh, this was great, man. Really appreciate it. I know you're busy and you're living life in Nashville. I got to make it out there. I will. You got to show me a good time. And
You better, dude. I got you.
no, but thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And with the Chargers, just make the right pick. I think we have the guys to do it now. Just make the right pick. And God damn it, Marlon McCree, you just did us all so dirty.
Thanks for having me, bro. I'll do this anytime.